It was raining hard, and the lightning pierced the sky, and the thunder seemed so loud that we clutched each other for comfort, as it seemed that a bomb was exploding above us. The rain poured down, and we sought comfort through prayer as we covered ourselves with our blankets. The storm is forecast to continue for several more days and nights. There will eventually be a day when we will look up at the extinct volcano above our home and see it is covered with a carpet of green plants and trees. We will marvel at the beauty around us in this paradise island we live on. We will feel grateful for the rain that fell and nourished all the trees, shrubs, and vegetation, as well as the flowers that create such beauty and fragrance for us to enjoy. How like adversity that stormy night was. We read in the revelation given to our earth, found in the Urantia book, page 1688, recording the life and teachings of Jesus. Quote, by March 10th, AD 29, all of the preaching and teaching groups had foregathered at Bethsaida. Thursday night and Friday, many of them went out to fish, while on the Sabbath day they attended the synagogue to hear an aged Jew of Damascus discourse on the glory of Father Abraham. Jesus spent most of this Sabbath day alone in the hills. That Saturday night, the Master talked for more than an hour to the assembled groups on the mission of adversity and the spiritual value of disappointment. This was a memorable occasion, and his hearers never forgot the lesson he imparted. Why didn't the revelators record the talk Jesus gave that Saturday night to the assembled groups on the mission of adversity and the spiritual value of disappointment? They recorded many other talks Jesus gave to the multitudes, and even private talks with his apostles. For example, on 1767, we read, Jesus taught the lesson on forgiveness, and it is recorded for us to read. After Jesus' lesson on forgiveness, we read his instructions to the teachers and believers. In those instructions, Jesus says, quote, when my children once become self-conscious of the assurance of the divine presence, such a faith will expand the mind, ennoble the soul, reinforce the personality, augment the happiness, deepen the spirit perception, and enhance the power to love and be loved. Teach all believers that those who enter the kingdom are not thereby rendered immune to the accidents of time or to the ordinary catastrophes of nature. Believing the gospel will not prevent getting into trouble, but it will ensure that you shall be unafraid when trouble does overtake you. If you dare to believe in me and wholeheartedly proceed to follow after me, you shall most certainly, by so doing, enter upon the sure pathway to trouble. I do not promise to deliver you from the waters of adversity, but I do promise to go with you through all of them. And much more did Jesus teach this group of believers before they made ready for the night's sleep. And they who heard these sayings treasured them in their hearts, and did often recite them for the edification of the apostles and disciples who were not present when they were spoken. The only thing we can conclude, since Jesus and our Father in heaven loves each of us, is that they believe in individualized parenting, and they will give each of us a private, personal lesson on the mission of adversity and the spiritual value of disappointment.
Still remember what he'd say. A little rain don't hurt. in season for all you want to do here and in heaven. So don't you worry, little rain don't hurt. When I married your mom, my dad would say it was the best thing I ever did. And now I've got you. Too glad I've got you and a family. Make time for each other. Be good friends. And always remember, love will never end. A little rain don't hurt. You just get wet. And there's a time and season for all you want to do here and in heaven. So don't you worry, little rain don't hurt.
A little rain or adversity in this life is to be expected. In the Urantia Revelation, it says that eventually we mortals will learn to, quote, feast upon uncertainty, to fatten upon disappointment, to enthuse over apparent defeat, to invigorate in the presence of difficulties, to exhibit indomitable courage in the face of immensity, and to exercise unconquerable faith when confronted with the challenge of the inexplicable. It ends with these words: in liaison with God, nothing, absolutely nothing, is impossible. End of quote. We can fatten or grow when great disappointment and heartbreak comes to us. When a baby was born and not expected to live, we were all heartbroken. But our prayers were finally answered. The spiritual experience that followed was so powerful that it changed my life and certainly outweighed the pain I had experienced. We are to enthuse over apparent defeat and tackle our problems with enthusiasm and ask God to help us find the solution. I learned years ago that in every problem or adversity, as we seek God's help, we will discover gifts interwoven in the tapestry of adversity. We are to invigorate in the face of difficulties. I see my father waking up before daylight, standing at the doorway to go out to the barn to milk the cows, and then feed the cows, horses, sheep, pigs, and chickens on our farm. He would take a deep breath of the cool morning air and say, "It was so invigorating." And then he went out to face the chores he did morning and night. We are to learn to exhibit courage as we see the immensity of the adventure before us. I think of my husband and how he used Mount Everest as a metaphor for the struggles and challenges of life. He would say we need to prepare our tools and supplies in order to successfully make the arduous climb to the top of the Everest of our life. We are to exercise unconquerable faith. We know how exercise develops our muscles and increases our endurance. We need to exercise our faith also. Sometimes we think of having faith to be healed of diseases. But we need unconquerable faith to not be healed. Our faith should be so certain that whether we live or die, our faith is unconquerable. When this rainstorm subsides, we will once again see and feel the sun shining on us, and we can feel gratitude for the blessings of the rain, which provides fresh water, making the rivers flow, filling lakes, and keeping plants and animals alive. Rain refreshes the land and brings beauty to our earth. A little rain on this earth doesn't hurt. We just get wet. And there is a time and a season for all we want to do here and in heaven. I feel certain beyond any doubt that Jesus will give each of us our private, personal lesson on the mission of adversity and the spiritual value of disappointment. I have received that personal lesson about my adversities, and I know you can receive your lesson also. Remember what Jesus said, quote, "When my children once become self-conscious of the assurance of the divine presence, they will want to live their life in partnership with Heavenly Father." Being in partnership with Heavenly Father and Jesus means we are on speaking terms, and if we need to appropriate Jesus' faith, just ask and we will receive. Being in partnership with Heavenly Father means we can ask what our mission is on this earth, and then we will receive spiritual help to accomplish that mission. Being in partnership with Heavenly Father means when we need to hear Jesus' talk on the mission of adversity and the spiritual values of disappointment, we just ask in faith and we will receive. Our Father's Spirit is with us, and Jesus has given a duplicate of His Spirit to be with each of us. And as our partners, they will help us in this mortal life to prepare for continuing education after this life. For the Father's plan is an educational adventure of progressive perfection and service that will bring us great joy and happiness for eternity.